Sadiq Khan's statement today is depressing. The Mayor of London has highlighted a deeply troubling problem for a reality for Muslim politicians in Britain today. His claim that he is not safe as an openly practicing Muslim reflects a broader concern about the rise in racial and religious hatred, particularly within the political class of the UK. The London Mayor's fears are not unfounded. They echo the sentiments of many in the Muslim community who have observed a growing hostility fueled by incendiary rhetoric from figures from the right wing of the political orbit. Sadiq Khan's experience is emblematic of the increased risks that Muslims face in the UK, a phenomenon that's grown alongside the rise of populist and nationalist rhetoric. His comments about the Conservative MP Robert Jenrick's suggestion that protesters should be arrested for shouting Allahu Akbar underline a significant problem. Jenrick's remarks, which betray a complete lack of understanding and respect for a fundamental aspect of the Islamic faith, are not just offensive, they are dangerous. And as Khan points out, such statements can stoke fears and misunderstandings and contribute to a climate where Muslims are viewed with suspicion or hostility. Khan's comparison of Jenrick's words to outlawing the word hallelujah underscores the absurdity and the potential harm of such rhetoric. His concerns are shared by other prominent Muslim politicians, like, for example, Humza Yousaf, the former First Minister of Scotland. And Yousaf has also faced a barrage of racist and Islamophobic abuse, particularly in the wake of his appointment as leader of Scotland's Parliament. And like Khan, Yousaf has been targeted by individuals and groups who have felt emboldened by the increasingly hostile political environment. The rise in hate speech and the threats against these people points to a larger issue of safety and security for Muslim politicians in Britain today. And if today the Muslim politicians are in the firing line of rhetoric, and that makes their lives dangerous, then tomorrow it could be somebody else. We simply need to squeeze out this prejudice and call it out for what it is. It's wrong. And it goes back to people standing in Parliament in the security of parliamentary privilege and beating the dispatch box and calling people who come here invaders, calling entire nations criminals, being completely casual about the language of othering that they use. This isn't a political. This doesn't divide easily on political party lines, because, for example, Baroness Saida Varsi, who's a prominent Muslim conservative and a former cabinet minister and a former leader of the Conservative Party, has long warned about the dangers of Islamophobia within her party. She's been a vocal critic of Conservatives' failure to address the anti-Muslim sentiment, arguing that the party has been in denial about the problem. Her criticism highlights a troubling shift in British politics, where the mainstreaming of Islamophobic rhetoric is increasingly evident. She has repeatedly called for an independent inquiry into Islamophobia within the Conservative Party, emphasising that the party must do more to root out prejudice and bigotry. And it doesn't really matter, in a way, what the target of the bigotry is today. It will be something else tomorrow. Yes, today it was anti-Semitism. Today it's Islamophobia. Tomorrow, what will it be? We are dignifying prejudice by allowing this to continue. And we are dignifying prejudice by allowing people to get away with questions. The rise in racial and religious hate in Britain, particularly against Muslims, has been exacerbated by specific politicians who have chosen to play on people's fears rather than their hopes. And Sadiq Khan's warning that poor politicians play on people's fears with tropes and conspiracy theories is a direct indictment of those who have used divisive language to gain political advantage, and we know exactly who they are. This kind of rhetoric not only endangers Muslim politicians like Khan and Yusuf, but also threatens to tear apart the fabric of our society. The recent riots, which have been linked to a spread of disinformation and misinformation, illustrate the dangerous consequences of this sort of rhetoric, and Khan's call for a review of the Online Safety Act reflects a growing recognition that the spread of harmful content online needs to be more effectively regulated. But I don't think this is something that one country can do without basically closing down the internet, as, for example, Russia is trying to do. The algorithms that amplify hateful content and the ease with which disinformation can be spread certainly create a toxic environment that endangers not just individuals, but also the cohesion of communities. But the way forward is not censorship, but education. And that starts in school, and it continues and continues and continues. But because we have an idea that education has a specific end, has a specific target, because education has been wheeled out since the 19th century as a form of factory process, we have missed the boat on education. We are doing something wrong. We need to rethink what education is for and the model of education that we should adopt. America has it wrong, we have it wrong. I'm not sure there's very many countries that have it right. But we need a more holistic form of education if we are going to tackle this level of hate. Because we cannot simply censor the internet, because that way we suppress what is good as well as eradicate what is bad. It's like living in some sort of sanitized chamber. In the end, that's boring. It might be safe, but we're going to bore ourselves to death. We need the stimulus of healthy inquiry, but we need the education to know what is inappropriate and when we are being fed rubbish. The safety of the Muslim population in Britain today is far from assured. The rise in racial and religious hate, fueled by some in the Conservative Party and Reform UK, poses a significant threat to those who practice their faith openly in public life. In the words of Sadiq Khan and Humza Yusuf, alongside the warnings of Baroness Varsi, should serve as a wake-up call to all who value a diverse and inclusive society. It's incumbent upon political leaders to address these issues head-on, to challenge the rhetoric of hate, to ensure that Britain remains a safe place for people of all faiths, all cultures, all backgrounds to participate in public life, and to enrich our country.